Good morning, student. Now we'll be moving forward in our chapter of business study organizing. So next topic is delegation of authority. Authority means power. Delegation means passing on that authority to the subordinate by the superiors. Okay. So delegation is basically done by the top level managers who are overburdened by the work. So by delegation of authority and some of their responsibility which they are performing, it is called as delegation of authority. Means authority will be given to the subordinate, the person who are working under the bosses. Okay, and also some responsibility will be passed, so that person will be accountable for some time for doing that job. So this is about that. So let us read it. In every organization, managers are assigned a lot of work and manager alone cannot perform all the work. So here it is true that managers will be having lot of work in the company. So what they do, he divide the work among the different individuals working under him according to their qualification and get the work done from them. So what they used to do, they will be giving some individual who are working under them, so they'll be passing on some work to them. Okay, but manager begins with sharing of his responsibility with his subordinates. Okay, so actually this all this responsibility lies with the manager, so he's overburdened because of that work. So what they used to do, they will share some power and give some responsibility to their subordinates here. Okay, so he's deliberately passes some of his responsibility to his subordinate. So deliberately means here the boss is passing with completely conscience of his mind that he want to pass that kind of responsibility to the subordinate, and he wants the subordinate to do the work which has been assigned to him. After passing the responsibility to the manager, also share some authority power to make decisions. So when the subordinate get this power of taking or making decisions, then they can definitely perform that responsibility which is given by their manager to them, which is subordinate. Okay, which is subordinate, so that the responsibility can either be carried on properly to make sure that his subordinate perform all the work effectively and efficiently in expected manner. The manager creates accountability, and this whole process is known as delegation. So what they used to do, the manager simply is passing some responsibility on the subordinate. After that, what is happening, he is giving them power to make that decision to that subordinate. Then definitely that subordinate who is working under the manager, he will be able to do work easily. Okay, means easily means effectively and efficiently. And this process is also good because that particular subordinate will learn a lot by performing the task of the managers. And this passing of the power to the subordinate, this process is called as delegation. And all these top level managers, they used to do this. This reduce their burden of work, and as a result of which they can focus on the core activity of the process. Okay, now after this, let us understand this principle of absoluteness of accountability. Accountability means what? Answerability. Okay, so here what we are seeing, delegation is a very important process to carry on the work systematically in the organization, but the delegation is not a process of abdication, which means accountability is absolute. It can never be passed or delegated. Okay, what they are here trying to say is accountability of this see, when this they are giving some responsibility, means bosses are giving the responsibility to the subordinate. Okay, they are also giving them power. So for some time this accountability lies with the manager, lies with the subordinate, and of course he is accountable for some time. But this actual accountability or answerability of completing that task lies with the manager only. So manager can give the task to his subordinate and can tell them to do his work, and he will also give them power to do that work. But unfortunately, if the subordinate are not able to complete that work on time, then at the end of the day, what will happen? Who will be answerable? In this case, the answerability will not lie with the subordinate. Ultimate answerability or accountability lies with the boss only. So he cannot pass this accountability. So he can delegate the power and responsibility and make the subordinate to work. But if they are not able to complete the work due to some reason, then the main answerability or accountability still lies with the manager, and he will be responsible for it. Okay, so here example is given that if the sales manager is assigned a target of selling 100 1000 unit in 1 month, he divide his target among 5 salesmen working under him. One of the salesmen fell sick, so at the end of 1 month, only 800 units could be sold. So in such a situation, the accountability lies with the manager. So here, what they're saying, that if these salesmen here, they are not able to achieve the target, okay, and he assigned, actually this target has been assigned to that manager only, but manager is not going to go into the field. All these people who are working under him, he will pass on the target on them. Ultimately, the target is given to the manager only. It is his job to get the work done of sales of 1000 unit. But one salesman, he fell sick, and due to it they are not able to achieve the target. So who is answerable here? Definitely the manager, who has passed on this power and authority or all to the subordinate. He will be responsible. He should have checked in between that the these subordinates are working properly or not, whether they will be able to achieve this target or not. So he should have contacted all the subordinate before time. At the end of the month if he is asking, then it is of no use. Already the train is passed. Okay, so this is the thing, absoluteness of accountability. Now what is the importance? See, effective management will be there. In delegation process, manager pass routine work to the subordinate, so they will be free to concentrate on other important matters of the company. The main job of the manager is to get the work done efficiently by delegating the authority and responsibility. Manager can get the work done effectively and efficiently from the subordinate. So what they can do, see, the manager's job is to do some routine work. So all those routine work he will pass to his subordinates, and he will be giving some power to them. Delegation of power is giving them power to the subordinates. Okay, and also the authority is passed. So definitely some responsibility lies with the subordinates. So why he's doing that? Because employee will be able to work effectively and efficiently if the power is given to him, and he will serve his boss nicely. So effective management can be seen here. Second is employee development. As a result of delegation, employees get more opportunity to utilize their talent. It allows them to develop those skills which help them to perform complex tasks. Here, the employees are getting the work of the manager. So when the manager delegates this work, so what happens? The employee also get developed because he will be in condition of taking his own decision. He will be developing his skills, and he will be able to face complex situation or any task. So this is a kind of opportunity. All these employees who are working under, they should take this as an opportunity and not as a burden. Now, delegation helps in making better future managers by giving them chance to use their skill. Now here the responsibility the manager is sharing with them. So how good it is when this manager will be sharing this responsibility, that particular employee will learn the task of the manager, and in future he will be performing as a manager, which will be good. It is just like companies trying to make their future managers. Now motivation of employee. So here the people or subordinate, the manager is sharing his responsibility and authority with the subordinate. It motivates the subordinate. So motivation of employee can be seen because they will be feeling motivated because the manager has is having trust on them, and he is sharing his authority and responsibility with them. So that is the thing which will create motivation in the employees. Now facilitates organizational goal. What is this now? Organization growth means the development of the company. In the process of delegation, when the manager are passing their responsibility and authority to the subordinate, they keep in mind the qualification and capability of subordinate. So whenever this manager is passing this responsibility or authority to the subordinate, what he used to check, he will check the capability of the subordinate first, whether his subordinate will be able to do or not. He will only pass that kind of work which can be easily done by this subordinate. Okay, but due to this, what happens, the division of work and specialization will be developed in the employee. So this leads to organizational growth because the employees will be getting developed. The fifth point is basis of management hierarchy. Delegation establishes superior subordinate relationship which act as a base of the hierarchy of managers. Okay, so what is this? When this management hierarchy is made, so if you talk about from the top level, then middle level, lower level, so there will be number of posts. At the top level you may find assistant vice president, presidents, deputy managers. So all these posts are top level posts. Now what happens? This is the basis of management hierarchy. So delegation of authority flows from top to bottom. It never flows from bottom to top. So all these top level managers, they will be passing their responsibility along with authority. So flow of this delegation comes from the top level. Okay, so that is the basis of management hierarchy. Here we can clearly see that the superior are passing their powers to their subordinates, and this is how the power is distributed. Now better coordination, the next point. In the delegation, systematically responsibility and authority is divided, so employees are made answerable for non-completion of tasks. The systematic division of work gives clear picture to work to everyone, and there is no duplication of the work. Clarity and duties assigned and reporting relationship brings effective coordination in the organization. Now better coordination is developed because when this delegation is uh, done in the company, what happens? The responsibility and the authority is divided in the employees, and they are made answerable for the non-completion. See, if this task is not completed, then they will be responsible for it. So this will be the problem. Okay, so what they have to do, if the employee is answerable in this case, ultimate accountability still lies with the manager. But for this non-completion, the still for some time the employee will also be scolded because he was not able to complete the task. Because when the work is assigned to this subordinate, what they should do, they should try to complete the task on time. So if they are not able to do, then of course they will be scolded, or uh, they'll be getting some rude words from their managers. So basically for that not to happen, they should try to coordinate with each other, and they should try to complete that work. As we already know that duplication of work, clarities in duties. See, when this reporting relationship create between superior and subordinate, everybody knows that whom they are answerable. Okay, and duties are assigned as per their response, as per their relationship of superior and subordinate. So here effective coordination is required, and no duplication of work should be there. Okay, means duplication means if the one work is assigned to the person, then definitely some other person who is a subordinate, some different task will be given to him. Okay, so this is called as a delegation, giving by the help of no duplication of work. So here no duplication of work can be seen. Then reduces the workload of the manager. This is the main point here. It may be coming in the case study like this. Either this can come in a direct question way, or this can be come in a case study. So what it does, it reduces the workload of the manager. What happens when this manager pass on their powers and their work to the subordinate, all the responsibility? Then what happened? The actual work which was with the manager, all this work has already been delegated to the subordinate. So now this manager is free from the work burden, and now he can focus on the core activity of the business, like just attending the meetings and making plans and policies. All this work can be done easily. So here in this process of delegation, the manager are allowed to share his responsibility and work with the subordinate. With the help of the manager to reduce the workload, with the process of delegation, the manager can pass all their routine work to the subordinate and concentrate on important work, as I told you. Then basis of superior subordinate relationship. So in this delegation process, only two parties are involved, as I told you, superior and subordinate. If the superior share or pass their responsibility and authority to the subordinate, it indicates good relationship between the superior and subordinate, because superior will transfer their responsibility and authority to their subordinate only when they have trust in them. So this is the base for the superior and subordinate relationship, because your manager The work which has been given to him, he is only going to delegate to you when he is having trust on you. Otherwise, suppose you are a subordinate and your manager is not assigning work to you, that means what? He just don't believe in you, or he doesn't trust you. That's why he's not giving his work to you. Maybe he will give his work to somebody else, not you, but somebody else, because he's having trust on him and not you. So this is the base of superior subordinate relationship. So this is how this superior delegates the work. So all this relationship between the superior and subordinate get very strong when this work is delegated. Good bonding will be there among the superior and subordinate, among whom this task will be shared, or responsibility and authority will be shared. Now the elements of delegation of the process. So basically there are three elements: responsibility, authority, and accountability. Okay. So what is responsibility? Responsibility means the work assigned to the individual. It includes all the physical and mental activities to be performed by the employees at a particular job position. The process of delegation begins when the manager passes on some his responsibility to the subordinates, which he means responsibility can be delegated. So actually we already discussed this. Responsibility actually lies with this manager, and he is sharing his work with his subordinate with whom he trusts. So this is how the delegation process is started, by sharing the responsibility. Okay. Now, features of responsibility. Responsibility is an obligation of a subordinate to properly perform the assigned duty. Now, when the subordinate will be getting some responsibility, then he is actually getting some duty or work which he should complete. So this is a kind of responsibility. He must do it. Obligation means what? He must perform that duty well. This is responsibility. It arises from superior subordinate relationship because subordinate is bound to perform the duty assigned by the superior. So why does it create this superior and subordinate relationship? Because subordinate here who is working under superior, he is bound to do that work which is assigned by superior or supervisor. Okay, then third, responsibility flow upwards, because subordinate will always be responsible to his superior. So suppose this is boss and this is his subordinate, so definitely some work will be given to boss to this subordinate, and he will be responsible. So responsibility flows from bottom to top. Okay, this is the flow. Then what is authority? Authority, as we know, it means power. So it is means power to take decision. To carry on the responsibility, every employee need to have some authority. So when manager are passing the responsibility to the subordinate, they also pass some of the authority to the subordinates. The delegation of authority is the second step of the organization process. While sharing this authority, managers keep in mind that the authority matches to the responsibility should also be delegated. They should not pass all the authority to the subordinate. Authority, we already know, this is power. So how much authority should be shared? It never means that all the authority should be passed on the subordinate. Only that much authority should be passed to the subordinate, so that they will be able to complete that responsibility. That is the crux of this authority here. Okay. Now the features. In a formal organization, authority originate from the individual position. So power basically will be held somewhere, and from that position this originate authority arise or originate from some individual position, like a post of a vice president. From that the power will originate. Okay, so origin will be there at the top level. Now authority refers to take decision due to your managerial position. So authority means what? Right to take decisions. Power means what? If you are having power, you can take the decision. So it happens due to managerial position. Okay, so because when the manager is sharing his power, definitely you are having it now. So it is just due to this managerial position, this authority is coming, and you are like a manager at that time. Now, third point, authority determines superior subordinate relationship. Okay, as subordinate communicate his decision to subordinate, expecting compliance from him as per his direction. Now, one authority is determining the superior subordinate relationship. Now this subordinate will communicate all his decisions to the subordinate, because why to the subordinate, expecting compliance from him as per his directions. So what whatever the direction is being given by this superior, the subordinates are bound by it. Okay, they will have to do it. So whatever the direction has been given, so they will be abiding by them, means they cannot work out of the boundaries. They will have to work as per the direction given by their superiors. Then authority is restricted by law, rules and regulation of the organization. So already at different position in the memorandum, this authority and power will be there. Okay, you must have studied this in 11th class in business studies, that authority, all these laws, rules and regulation will be there, and the manager must understand it. So authority is just like it is restricted by rules and regulation inside the company. Okay, so there will be some power check upon the managers. Then fifth point, authority arises from the scalar chain which links various job position. We already learned about the scalar chains in this principle of management. So basically at the different job position it is arising, like authority will come from top to bottom, which is a line of command, and it will basically originate from the top level to the bottom level. So it links the job positions. What joins? Authority means power. Then sixth point, authority flows downward from superior to subordinate. So the flow will be from top to bottom and not from bottom to top. Seven point, authority must be equal to responsibility. So how much authority or power should be given by you? So it will should be according to this responsibility. If responsibility is less, the authority should also be less. So this must be in balance. Not too much of power should be given, okay, and not too much less authority should be given. If too much power will be given, then it will be misused. So there should be balance. Enough power should be given so that their subordinate will be able to do the work. Third is accountability. Accountability means what? Answerability for the completion of task. To make sure the employee or subordinate perform the responsibility in their expected manner, the accountability is created. Accountability means subordinate will be answerable for the non-completion of the task, creating accountability. Okay, so here we can see that accountability is created on the subordinate to complete that task. Okay, creating accountability is the third and the final step of delegation process. Now the accountability cannot be passed or delegated. It can be shared with the subordinate. Okay. Why they are saying it? Because it can only be shared completely. Accountability cannot be shared because it stays with the manager. Okay. Ultimately, he will be answerable for non-completion of the task. But for some time, it will be shared with the subordinate. So ultimately, this accountability lies with the manager. But for time being, the subordinate is made to do some kind of do or perform some kind of work which has been assigned by the bosses to him. So he is accountable only for some time, but the ultimate responsibility lies with the manager. Okay. Now after this, the centralization and decentralization point will be there, and features will be there. Then relationship between delegation and decentralization. So this part is also very important. Centralization and decentralization. So centralization and decentralization are related term, as an organization uses both the policies. Okay, so centralization means what? Concentration of power in the few hands, means at the top level. So यहाँ पर क्या होता है? The top level peoples, they will be holding all the powers. So this is called as decentralization. An organization is centralized when the decision making power or authority is in the hand of the top management only. In which type of company it is suitable? It is suitable in the type of the company when suppose if it is a small firm, a small company, then this centralization can be done. Okay, and decentralization means what? It can be defined as even and systematic distribution of authority at the level of the management. Under decentralization, every employee working at different level gets some share in the authority. So decentralization means sharing of this power at the different level or at the levels, all these levels like middle level, lower level. So every employee must have some power or authority so that he will be able to do the work. So this decentralization is a policy matter, and the major plan is in advance whether to go for decentralized or centralized policy. Sometimes company follow a mixed policy of centralization and decentralization. They keep important matters such as financial decision, structural decision at the top level. So what they used to do actually, all this manager, they keep all this power. They will not share all this power at all the levels. All these complicated decisions, for the powers for making all those complicated decisions lies with the managers, and such kind of power will not be delegated. Okay, so here in centralization the power will be held with the top level, and they are not going to share that power with the subordinate or the other employees, lower level employees, in order to match that this decision or a very complex decision is there. So they don't want their subordinate to interfere into it. They want to look into it, who, the top level. So they will keep some part of the power. So some part of this power will be kept with him. So it will be like centralized also, and some related matter, some easy task which are already been assigned. So for the power will be provided to complete those tasks. Those easy tasks can easily be performed by the subordinate. So they will passing enough powers so that the subordinate will be able to do the work. But the difficult job, the responsibility will be for this top level peoples only, because they are having enough experience and power to take or make decisions. They have good thinking. Okay, now they keep all these important matters, as we already discussed, with the top management only. The share of the common decision with the people working at the different level, as generally in the organization can never be completely centralized or decentralized. So here completely decentralization or a centralization should not be done. Okay, both the centralization, decentralization, if the company is completely centralized, means all the power is been done or decisions are made at the one place only, then it will be very much difficult for the other people to do the work, because every time they'll be running to them for some signature, all this kind of work and all. So centralized means it should not be completely centralized. There should be some decentralization also. And also if you look at this decentralized, if you're completely giving all the powers, okay, to these people, then they may misuse it, or there are chances that they will not be able to handle such kind of power or make complex decisions. So complete decentralization should also not be done. So what is the feature of this decentralization? Decentralization means what? It means the sharing of the power at the different levels of management. So the decentralization is much more than a mere transfer of authority, okay, to the lower level. Now it implies selective dispersal of authority. Means some selective peoples only will be given the power, not everyone. Third point, it shows the belief that the people are competent. When somebody is decentralizing, that means that these people believe on their employees who are capable, competent, and resourceful. Then only they will share the things with or power with you. Then decentralization indicates that the employee at the middle and lower level can assume the responsibility for effective implementation of the decision. So it indicates what? That the employee who are working at the middle and the lower level, they can assume, they can just imagine that this responsibility of for effective implementation of their decisions. Okay, so whatever the decisions will be there which will be implemented. So decentralization indicate that employee will be taking care of this all this kind of responsibility which has been assigned to them. So whatever the decision they are going to make or take, it should be effective enough. Effectiveness should be there. If somebody is giving you power, so they should be able to complete it. So only then only this effectiveness will be seen in the decision. Now decentralization recognize the need of authority for decision maker. So here the decentralization is doing what? Here it recognizes the need of authority for decision makers. See, whenever your decentralization is done in the company, so there will be need of authority for decision maker. See, if you're giving me some responsibility and you're not giving me the authority, how I will be able to do the work? So that's why decentralized always recognize the need of authority. They need, see, because work, if you give me work, you should give me power also. It is like that. Then 6 point, the top management carefully select those decisions which will be pushed down. to the lower level, and those that will be retained at the higher level. This we already discussed with all these hard decisions or complex decisions should stay centralized with the top level, and all the easy decisions should be given to the lower levels or middle levels to make their own decisions. Now, relationship between decentralization and delegation. So they are talking about this delegation means providing the power to the subordinate. Decentralization means distribution of the power at the different level of the management. Okay, so decentralization is an extension of the delegation. Okay, so in delegation we multiply the authority with the two, whereas in decentralization the authority is multiplied by many. So when we are talking about delegation, how many people were there? There was superior and subordinate, so only two entities were there. So the authority was shared between superior and subordinate. We are talking about delegation here. In decentralization, what is the difference? In decentralization, from top to the bottom, here you can see top director, here is the post, like here you can see director, production head, production manager. So this is the topmost post, and here you can see the lower post is there or lower level is there. So delegation is just a relationship between these two people, superior and subordinate. So that is delegation. Here also delegation, we can see delegation here. But at all the level we are seeing that all this power are with some people. So if you take it as a complete task here, entire process, like this entire process, you can see that every production head, production manager, supervisor, foreman, they're having some power at least in their hand. Means what? Here in decentralization the power is shared at all the levels. So this is the meaning of decentralization. So that is what they're trying to say, the relationship between delegation and decentralization. Okay, so in delegation there are two, but in decentralization it means distribution of power at all the levels. Okay, here the authority is multiplied by many. Okay, now after this, delegation is necessary in every organization, but centralization is optional. Why they are telling like this? See, delegation is necessary means it is, why it is necessary, because it is very important to create that superior subordinate relationship. That's why they are telling you that delegation is necessary in every organization, but decentralization is optional. Why it is optional? Because it depends that whether our employees are capable or not, then only the power will be shared at different levels. If the employees are not trustworthy, they cannot be trusted, then we cannot share our power with them. Okay, so the top level will not share their power with the lower level or the other subordinates. So delegation is an essential part of every organization. So delegation should be there. Okay, delegation होना चाहिए. No organization can work without using the concept of delegation, as there is no individual who can do all the work himself only. So we already know why delegation is done. It just reduces the power, or sorry, it just reduces the work burden of the manager. So delegation is important, it should be done at any organization. Now delegation is a tool of get the work done effectively and efficiently through others, whereas decentralization is required when an organization grows and expand and only top level cannot manage it. When the decentralization should be done? When the organization grows. Suppose if one company is there today and in future now there are more branches of that company, then this company will have to make decentralization. They will have to pass the powers to the different people so that they can perform their work in the different branches of that company. It is very important to understand this thing. Especially in the present era, due to liberalization and globalization, fast decision is needed and quick decision can be taken through decentralization. So when this decentralization happens, the quick decision making process will be there because the subordinate is not going to ask anyone to take the decision. Only as it provides greater flexibility and freedom of action, but many organizations are still working with little or no decentralization. Now still the companies are not, many companies can be seen which are not decentralized. Means all this work is still, all this power is still held at this top level only, and they are taking or making all the decisions. So here it's a matter of choice and the preference of the top level, and it is not compulsory. So it is just like delegation, that if somebody like wants to do the decentralization or share the power at the different level, तो वो उनका अच्छा है, it is up to their will. Okay, they want, if they want they can do this decentralization, or if they don't want to share the power at various level, they want to run by themselves, then they can create it or make it as centralized. Now what is the importance? See, develop initiative among the subordinate. So passing of the authority at the middle and lower level shows the trust and faith of the top level in the subordinate, and this trust and faith motivate the employees. So here the motivation will be there, because this all the superior are having trust in the subordinate. So it will be like the subordinate will be taking initiatives. वो शुरुआत करेंगे, वो initiate करना शुरू करेंगे, because they will be, and they will just have a feeling that all my superiors are having trust on me, so I should serve them well. Then second, develop managerial talent for the future. So decentralization process, it just prepare the peoples, when these people will be having power, they'll be performing their duty well, then definitely that particular employee who is performing, he will be just like a ready future manager for the company. So in centralization, manager working at the lower and the middle also learn the art of making decisions. They also learn this how to take the decision and all. So they get the experience of performing activities of the top executives and learn to manage the authority given by them. So it develops the managers, it develops future managers. Then quick decision making will be there. Now this point is easy, because you're already having the power in the decentralization. Then what will happen, you are not going to ask anyone, and you can take all the decision at a certain level. So this is the something very good about this decentralization process. Okay, so they can take any kind of decision or any kind of activity which needs to be performed, they can make their own decisions. Then relief for the top level management. Now here the top level management will be very happy by this decentralization, because lot of work or lot of work along with the power is already been delegated or passed on to the subordinate. So already the top level manager are having lot of work or overburdened. So with this responsibility and authority, they are systematically passing the authority and responsibility at the different level. So they'll be having some relief, and they can focus on the core competency of the company. Then facilitate growth. So when decentralization happens, it grants more autonomy and freedom to the lower level. This helps the subordinate to do the work in the manner best suited to the department. So here it facilitated growth, because all these people who are getting the power, so they will be doing work in their way, which is best suited to them, and each department will be performing to their best. And when here you can say that when each department is doing their best, then productivity increases and it will generate more revenue. Because see, when this employee will be getting or making their own decisions, because the power is with them, so what they can do, they will be performing very nicely in the company, more productivity will be there, and when more productivity will be there in the company, all this growth will come to the company, and in future the company will expand its business. Now better control. Now how this control is connected here with decentralization. So in decentralization, employee working at different level take their own decisions, okay, and they are personally accountable for their decision. They cannot pass or blame to their superior. It's decentralization, better control can be exercised through a scorecard management information system. So what happens when this power is shared with the employees, there is a system which is called as managerial information system. MIS is a kind of report which is made in Excel, and all those report will be mailed to their bosses. So anyhow the boss is taking information. See, it is decentralized over here, but in decentralization the power is being given to the subordinate, but these managers, the bosses, they are keep asking by the help of this MIS report, and they will be tracking whether the work is done or not by the subordinates. So this is just made to ensure that better control will be there. And how this control is there? By the help of managerial information system. it is nothing but all this report which has been completed by this subordinate, and that will be mailed to their bosses. So it is just for better control whether they are doing that work or completing that work on time or not. Somebody will have to supervise, no, somebody will have to keep an eye on this thing. Otherwise at the end of the month, the subordinate will say that I have not completed the task, so it will be a problem for manager because he is accountable. So better control is there by the help of MIS. Then 7 point promotes initiative and creativity. Now when this power is shared, what happens? It leads to employee in the creation of new ideas, and they will be ready to do anything. They will be ready to take any kind of initiative. So at every level, giving a greater degree of autonomy means freedom and authority according to the responsibility. This help them to take the initiatives, and also when they are taking the decision and facing various difficult situations, their creativity will be improved. Okay, so that's all in this chapter of this organization. Okay, so just go through this video very nicely, and if you're any having any doubt, you can ask me regarding it. Thank you.